DIKW form on one of the chapters of your book. This is 8th standard foundation book on chemistry. And as you told, or some of you told, that the last chapter, that is atoms, molecules and atomic structure. This is a bit difficult and we should apply our method to that chapter. Has anybody done any kind of exercise on that? That is applying what is D, what is I, what is K, what is W and marking. So in his or her view, this is data, this is information, this is knowledge and this is wisdom. So what is that? Anybody has done it? I don't say anything on that because this is all new to you and therefore it is obvious that even if you don't do it, it's okay, your learning process is on now. In my view, when we differentiate between or classify between DIKW, W, that is wisdom, can be taken to be the matter or the content which is to be done by heart. Wisdom is to be taken by heart. By heart means what? In Marathi it is called pathantar. Or you should memorize it permanently. Permanent memory is like by heart. Suppose if I ask you 2 plus 2 is a permanent memory or temporary memory or what is it? What do you feel? Is it sure? Permanent memory? I classify it further. So it is not only permanent memory, but it is part and parcel of the memory. So you cannot make it separate. Even for several years, you don't think on that 2 plus 2. Then also at any time if you are asked what is 2 plus 2, your answer will be ready. So this I call as part and parcel. Permanent memory also has got some kind of forgetfulness. Permanent memory problem has come. So permanent memory also has got some time limit. If you go beyond that time limit, then even permanent memory wipes out. Temporary memory has got a very short time span, in which if you don't revise it, then your memory goes out, wipes out. But permanent memory has got large or long perceiving and remembering time, existing or lifetime, I will call it. So it has got a long lifetime. But when I say part and parcel, it becomes beyond that. So automatically it happens. Automatically. You don't have to even think about it. You bring the image of your mother. You are anywhere, and if you think of mother, then that image will come in front of you. So the image of mother is beyond permanent memory and it is part and parcel. So permanent it is, so rigid it is that it becomes part and parcel. Can you understand this? First, temporary memory. Second, permanent memory. Third, part and parcel memory. So it is impossible to forget. Even if you try to forget, then also you will not be able to forget. This is what part and parcel. which I say as wisdom, connection back. Wisdom should be that kind of memory. It has to be part and parcel. So rigid it should be. And therefore, when you classify or contain the chapter DIKW, this W should become part and parcel. I just remind you one thing, that most of you have got closed eyes, but many of them, most, are not making mention of whatever points you feel correct or appeal to you. You should make a mention also. So listening is not merely listening. Listening is equal to listening plus writing that what is appreciated, that what is understood, that what is realized, that you must make a mention. This I am making a note and reminding you of that feature of listening. Okay. Coming back to that DIKW. So wisdom is something which should go in part and parcel memory. Okay, at first stage, if it goes in permanent memory, then it's okay. But afterwards, after repeated use of that memory, it should become so much imbibed in the brain memory that it should become part and parcel. This is the point which I want to see. Then we come down and we go to knowledge. Knowledge is a bit understood thing. Now I have used the word understood. And I think I have told you the meaning of understood things or understanding. What is meant by understanding?
Something which we can explain in our own language in a sentence.
Very good. And perfect answer. Shyam. Your own language, your own words, your own concepts. But this should be supported with one more feature of it. Something which is explained in our own words. This is what she said. What I am adding to it is that something should be exactly explained. So this word should be added to it, something that is exactly explained in our own words. And if I say that understanding is deepened, very deep understanding of it, then what I may say? How I will define it as, or how I will explain it as? Very deeply understood. Understood is okay, but still further step, deeply understood. For example, suppose there is a scientist, and that scientist has invested something. He has researched on something and developed some new thing. That thing which he has researched and developed must be understood by that person to what extent, as you feel. Are you getting the point? That some scientist has researched on some topic and newly developed something. Now, how much that person must have understood it? That is very, very deeply understood. Because he has originated it, or she has originated it. How we may explain this? Like you said, understood means exactly explaining in our own words. Deeply understood thing is what? Can anybody think on this and say? It's not much difficult. It is quite simple and quite similar to what we said for understood. So if it is possible for you to explain a thing exactly in some words, if it is deeply understood, then you must be able to explain it in exactly same meaning in different sets of words. This set of words is different than this set of words, and both of them are exactly telling what is that something is. maybe third, maybe fourth, maybe fifth. This has got no limit. But this is deeply understood thing. Not only one way of explanation, but some another way of explanation. Some third way of explanation. And try to understand this now, that this kind of another set of words, if you want to write, then you must deeply understand the thing exactly, so exactly, that now any words you can use and you can explain that thing exactly again. This is one more point I am telling, that what is meant by deeply understood thing. Understood is okay, but number of sets are different or more than one. And now I can tell you about that how that scientist can be said that he or she has deeply understood it, because that scientist can explain it to anybody. Maybe a research class students, maybe even fifth standard student, second standard student, to any illiterate also he will be able to explain. Because he has researched on it, he has newly invented it, and therefore he or she can explain. So this is the difference between understood and deeply understood. And now I am connecting this to K, my knowledge. So what is knowledge? That part of the text should be understood. Getting this? Wisdom is what? Wisdom is part and parcel or permanent memory. And knowledge is what? Knowledge is not part and parcel. But you may be able to explain it in your own words. That is knowledge. Information. What is information? Information correlates itself with interest. The content is creating interest in you, interest in that subject, and some added supportive information or data is there. So information means some relevant data, that you can say. Relevant data which creates interest into the subject or topic. And then data remains is all rest. Data is all grammar. For example, suppose first sentence is said, let us now try to understand the concept of dash dash. So this sentence is what? It is data. Because it is all sitting not even in the periphery, but outside the periphery. Outside the periphery is data, periphery is information, the rest inside is knowledge, and the center is wisdom. Can you correlate this and give you another analogy? Analogy means some similar example. Center is what? Wisdom. Around that the whole circle rotates or is resting. So center is wisdom. The outside portion inside the circumference, inside, is knowledge. The periphery is information, and outside everything is data. I am trying to give these analogies so that you can understand what is meant exactly by DIKW in my model. Now keep this aside and try to understand very simply data, interest, knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom must be by heart. मराठीत सांगायचं तर तुम्ही ते पाठ केलं पाहिजे आणि ॲटलिस्ट ते परमनंट मेमरीमध्ये तरी गेलं पाहिजे. फॉर्म्युले असतात, डायग्राम्स असतात, डेफिनेशन्स असतात. ऑल दीज मस्ट बी बाय हार्ट. How it goes in by heart or it becomes permanent memory? What is the mechanism of brain to put temporary things into permanent memory. Okay. For this, let me give you the analogy of brain itself, the model of brain in artificial intelligence. Our brain is like a bottomless well. Bottomless well. तळ नसलेली विहीर. तळ नाही म्हणजे काय? Whatever deep you go, it is still there. That is bottomless well. When we know anything newly, we develop a stone and put it into the water from the top. I am repeating. When we newly know anything, we develop a new stone and put it into that well from the top. So automatically, because of gravity, it starts going deep and deep. The top surface is the current time. Top surface is current time. And as you go deep and deep, it means what? Past time. You are going in history. Still deeper, deeper, deeper means it is going down. So if you know a new thing and if you don't think upon it again, then the thing will go still deeper and so deep that you will not be able to find it. Now I must say here what is finding. New thing dropped, going down is okay. But what is about earlier known thing? What is that? When you remind something, काय होत असेल तर तुम्ही त्याच्यामध्ये एक खोल जाता, आतमध्ये डीप घेता एक डाय घेता एक आतमध्ये आणि खोल खोल जाऊन शोधायला. मग तुम्हाला कुठेतरी तो दगड सापडतो. You get it, come out, do something on it and put it again. So like that, stones are being taken out and thrown in, or some new things also, or new stones also are being thrown in. This is what simple model of memory, human brain memory. कळते? नवीन दगड टाका किंवा जुना दगड खोल जाऊन शोधा, परत बाहेर काढा, प्रोसेस करा, परत टाका. So again it will start going down. Now some things you find quickly or some things you don't find quickly. You must have experienced one thing. You are telling something to your friend. You have decided that I am going to tell this to my friend. You have started talking and suddenly it happens that you forget. And you come to a moment that just now I was to say you something and now I have forgotten it. Oh, what is it? What is it? You are going into the deep, 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 but you are not finding it. आठवतच नाही काय सांगा. आत्ता ठरवलं होतं, 10 सेकंद आधी ठरवलं होतं की काय सांगणार आणि ते एकदम फॅसिनेटिंग होतं, सांगायलाच पाहिजे असं होतं. पण 10 सेकंदामध्ये मला ते अजिबात आठवत नाही असं होतं. आणि बघ कितीही प्रयत्न केले तरी ते आठवत नाही. मेंदू कोणाचा? माझा. शोधणार कोण? मीच. पण तरीही माझीच वस्तू मला सापडत नाही. कधी सापडते? 2 दिवसानंतर कुठेतरी बसलेलो असतो, दुसराच काहीतरी गोष्ट चालू असते आणि एकदम अरे हे मी सांगतो तेव्हा होते. What is this? Where this happens? Actually, the thing which you had remembered to say within 10 seconds is at the top of the well. किंवा टॉप वरतीच आहे म्हणजे आता 10 सेकंदामध्ये आठवलं होतं, म्हणजे ते काही खोल जास्त गेलेलं नव्हतं, तरी पण ते सापडत नाही. Why don't you remember it? The answer is it has not been tagged, it has not been flashed. त्या दगडाला कुठला रंग दिलेला नाही, त्या दगडाला कुठलाही एक असा फ्लॅग लावलेला नाही. जर रंगीत असतं दगड तर लगेच सापडतं. आणि मग ज्या गोष्टी आपल्याला लगेच आठवतात त्या रंगीत असतात. आणि रंगीत असतात म्हणजे काय, तर त्यांना इम्पॉर्टंट असा एक टॅग लावलेला असतो. तुम्ही जेव्हा वहीमध्ये नोट्स काढता तेव्हा स्टार मार्क केलेले असतो. इम्पॉर्टंट आय, VVI, VI, very important, very important, like that you have tags. So such tags and things with tags can be remembered quickly. You don't take any time because they are flag. मग खाली गेल्यानंतर रंगीत दिसलं किंवा फ्लॅग दिसला तर लगेच सापडतं, तुम्ही घेऊन बाहेर. All this analogy has got a simple conclusion, one sentence conclusion. ह्याच्यामध्ये विजडम या सगळ्या स्टोरीमध्ये एकच वाक्यात आहे. बाकी सगळं नॉलेज असेल, इन्फॉर्मेशन असेल, डेटा असेल, फॉरगेट इट. व्हॉट इज विजडम? विजडम इज वन सेंटेन्स that if you want to remember anything permanently, then tag it and flag it. Tagging and flagging can make permanent memory. बस एवढं याचं विजडम आहे. And that comes out through that whole analogy that memory is a bottomless well. Going back, DIKW. The analogy, one analogy I told you what? A circle, outside the circle, periphery, inside the circle, and center. So these are the four things which are attached with that DIKW respectively. Another which I said what? That wisdom must be by heart, part and parcel memory, or at least permanent memory. Then knowledge is what? The content marked under knowledge must be understood. Means you must be able to explain it in your own words. Deeply understood many times. Explanation. Then information is what? It is interest or supportive data. And rest data is once read. You can name it as once read. Read it once and forget it. Because it is not that useful. फक्त कशासाठी असतो डेटा? काल मी तुम्हाला एक गोष्ट सांगितली तुम्हाला की एक छानशी संध्याकाळ होती आणि चांगला वारा वाहत होता वगैरे होते. ह्याच्यामध्ये डेटा काय होता? हा सगळा डेटा होता. छानशी संध्याकाळ वगैरे काय अर्थ नाही त्याला. ती दुपार असली तरी व्हॉट एव्हर हॅज हॅपन्ड द सेम थिंग हॅज पुढे हॅपन्ड. त्यामुळे हा सगळा डेटा आहे अँड यू कॅन फॉरगेट इट. इट इज ओनली फिल इन द ब्लँक्स. But it is not important. What was the interest or periphery? काय होती त्याच्यामध्ये? तर तो कंटाळला आणि ती आली नाही. Wisdom was ती आली नाही and knowledge was what? Knowledge was many a times in the life we have to wait for a thing which we want to happen and it doesn't happen. This is what is the knowledge. I have explained it in other words. Can you get this? I'll give you one more example of this data, information, knowledge and wisdom. Suppose you are in a kitchen. You are in a kitchen and there are many utensils and apparatus and things. There are many things kept in front of you. You want to make tea. So what do? For tea making, what things are required that you collect together? Pick out only those things. Out of 50 things there, you are picking out 5 or 6 things. This is what you do first. Now next is what? You do some operation. You add something to something, then you make some operations and prepare tea. And finally, you test the tea. What is what? All the things kept in front of you is data. The thing which you select and take out for making tea is information. You make a tea and test it is knowledge. Because tea tastes like this. This sentence is the knowledge. And can anybody tell me what is wisdom? Pardon? Process of tea making is it a wisdom? It has already been done and knowledge has been taken out. Tea was ready and you have tested it. And you would know that tea tastes like this. This much is knowledge. Now what is wisdom? You may not be able to find it out because it is a bit to think differently. That wisdom is after drinking tea, suppose you had an acidity. So the wisdom is tea making or tea drinking results in acidity. Or somebody may not have acidity, he may have some more energy. So the wisdom for that person is drinking tea adds to the energy, adds to the enthusiasm, whatever. So wisdom might be different for different people. But knowledge is same. Test is like that only. Apart. So this is an analogy to fix up the concept of what is meant by data, what is meant by information, what is meant by knowledge, and finally what is meant by wisdom. What is the outcome of all this 15-minute explanation was classification of the data which you are reading or which you are listening into DIKW and apply it in your studies. Wisdom is what? Permanent memory by heart. Knowledge, understanding. I, interest or supportive data, and rest is to be forgotten. I had given you a guarantee that whatever may be your chapter, whatever may be your subject, the wisdom is 10%. Just 10% of the whole data. Wisdom is only 10%. Then 15% was knowledge. Then 30% was information and rest 45% is data. This is the approximate percentage which I had given you. 10, 15, 20, 45. Sorry, 10, 15, 30, 45. That is all 100. This is a general or a crude classification. Exactly, it may differ to chapter by chapter. But 10% is quite okay. या एका गोष्टीवर काय होईल कल्पना आहे का तुम्हाला की तुमचा अभ्यासाचा जे अभ्यास तुम्हाला करायचा ना तो फक्त 10% होईल किंवा नॉलेज त्याच्यामध्ये ऍड केलं तर 25% वर जाईल. So your textbooks will reduce by 75% and only 25% will remain, and then you can master over that 25%. Now only thing is you should find out what is that 25%. And one of those findings is there in the textbook itself. तुमच्या टेक्स्टबुक मध्येच ते दिलेलं असतं. ते काय असतं? Under what title that is written? One of the titles I know, let us remember. That is one of the titles I have seen. Let us remember. And then some of the narrative is given. Only formulae may be given, definitions are given, some important things are given. That is one of the ways of wisdom, which is to be made by heart. Getting this concept? Now we are going to do an exercise. Actual exercise. I am going to talk a topic of your chapter, of your book. You are supposed to listen it, and then you have to complete the process of listening. What that includes? Process of listening and completing it. Number one, closed eyes, concentrated listening. Number one. Second is noting down points which appeal to you, which you find important while listening. Third, making your own remarks on them or reflections, your own comments on them. In this way, you have to go on writing. I am going to read the things slowly because you are doing this for the first time. So you should get sufficient time to reflect, to write, and so on. So I am going to do this slowly. But as you will become more and more skilled, you will be able to do the same thing with fast kind of speaking also. Getting this? Will you try this? I will use the same chapter, atoms, molecules and atomic structure. Are you ready? It's now 11:14 and I am going to do this for 6 minutes till 11:20. Okay? So my speech starts now. Molecules of elements. The molecule of an element contains two or more similar atoms chemically combined together. Again, the molecule of an element contains two or more similar atoms chemically combined together. For example, a molecule of oxygen contains two oxygen atoms combined together. Again, for example, a molecule of oxygen contains two oxygen atoms combined together. So, it is a diatomic molecule. So, it is a diatomic molecule. Oxygen gas consists of O2 molecules and not of single O atoms. Oxygen gas consists of O2 molecules and not of single O atoms. Similarly, nitrogen hydrogen gas and chlorine gas exist as N2, H2 and Cl2 molecules respectively. Similarly, nitrogen gas, hydrogen gas and chlorine gas exist as N2, H2, Cl2 molecules respectively. Ozone gas has three oxygen atoms combined together. So, ozone exists in the form of O3 molecules. Ozone gas has three oxygen atoms combined together. So, ozone exists in the form of O3 molecules. Okay. Over. Do you have these books with you just now? Okay. Next time we will do this, that everybody will have the same book, or some book we will select which is commonly everybody has it, and then we can do this exercise. Okay. You just count the words which you have noted. Count the words which you have noted. I am telling a figure. If you have those many words, then raise your hands. I am going to make it down. 30 or greater. Okay. 25 or greater. Greater means below 30. Okay. 20 to 24. 15 to 19. Okay. 10 to 14. Okay. 5 to 9. And obviously below, okay, I must say that 0 to 4. Nobody. Okay. Now, the skill of listening, which I am saying or explaining to you, is basically the product of quantity into quality. So what is the quantity of words which you have written? That number multiplied by the quality of the words which you have selected or which you have written. It's not just the product or just the number, that those who have written 30 and above, oh very good, fantastic, listening is very good. No. And those who have written just one, for example, can also be very qualified. Because the quality of that one word is so fantastic that it overcomes the other product. This may also happen. So quality of the words are important. Now I am telling you qualitative words. You just make a marking with you. If it matches, count it one. If it doesn't match, forget it. So finally, I want that term. Molecule, two or more chemically combined. Oxygen, two, diatomic. Oxygen gas, O2, not O. N2, H2, Cl2, O3. That's all. Only these many required words are required, in my view. And these were not more than 50. What I have counted, just now I was counting at the back end. So these numbers, this number doesn't go more than 50. These are quality words. Because just those words make you understand the rest of the things. Once you know, these are wisdom words. For example, I told you that molecule. So we should know what is a molecule is. Two or more atoms, or just even atoms is not required. Two or more atoms is understood. Chemically combined, bus. Not even chemically combined together. Because combined means together. What is the purpose of saying again the same word combined together? So that is not required. Just chemically combined is sufficient. So in the whole first sentence, only molecule, two or more chemically combined, and at most atoms. So in all 8 words are there. But this ratio will not go further because now onwards it will reduce. Next is what? Oxygen, 2. That's all. Now you can connect all this. Oxygen gas, O2, and not O. That is wisdom. Whole thing. Making a full sentence. And then N2H2Cl2O3. That makes all the rest of the paragraph. Because once you know what is O2, now N2H2Cl2 are simple examples and very similar examples. And you need not explain what are they. They are automatically understood. And finally, just one word O3. You may add to it ozone. If you are not knowing the name of the ozone, add it. Ozone O3. That's all. I am trying to tell you what is meant by wisdom. Wisdom classification of the whole topic or whole paragraph. How many words might be there? There are in all 80 words. I have approximately counted them. In one line, there are 50, there are almost 5 lines. So 70 to 80 words are there. Out of which, how many we have drawn? Maybe 20 or so. So knowledge and wisdom is 25%. The rest 75% is interest or supportive data or data. It is your skill now, and skills comes through practice. Skills come through practice. So it is your skill now, obtained through practice, to make the things very short. Short but sweet. It's not only short. Short but sweetest. If you make it short but sweetest, then now onwards, समजा आता तुम्ही हे असा एक्सरसाइज केला या चॅप्टर वरती, तर काय होईल? तर तुम्हाला हे पुस्तक परत कधीही वाचावं लागणार नाही. हा चॅप्टर, हा पॅरेग्राफ परत कधीही वाचावं लागणार नाही. तुमचा स्टडी म्हणजे काय असेल, तुमचं अंडरस्टँडिंग म्हणजे काय असेल, तुमचं रिमेंबरिंग म्हणजे काय असेल, तुमचं इमॅजिनिंग म्हणजे काय असेल, ऑल द 11 skills which I told you now will be limited to this wisdomized data and not the whole of the book. So it will be quite easy, it will be quite less time consuming, and so many things will get simple. कळतंय का तुम्हाला हे? You may not realize it just now, but if you do practice on it, and if you get the benefit of it, you will realize the meaning of all this. I know that unless we have knowledge of that thing, you know why I could do this? Because I am experienced. I know whole thing previously. So one may guide you how to do this again and again, and then you yourself will become expert in drawing the wisdom. Essence. तुम्हाला माहिती आहे फुलं असतात, फुलं. त्या फुलाचं काय करतात? अत्तर काढतात. How they do it? They put it in water and dissolve it, and then heat it and distillation, and then you get the essence. How much flowers give how much essence? Maybe 1000 liters of water may give 1 milliliter of essence. So ratio, small ratio is that. Same thing is true here. That whatever the words which I told you, they were the words of wisdom and essence. Can you understand all this? It is difficult, I know, it is because it is for the first time. Now you are learning in 8th standard. If you would have learned it in 5th standard, then by now you could have told me all these things. Sir, you just read the things and we will give you the essence. We know how to do it. We have practiced with it. We are doing it for 2-3 years. But now you are in 8th standard. Maybe when you will go in 10th standard, you will acquire the skills very well, and then you will be a very good learner, at least in listening. Getting this? Okay. Now I am going to read one more paragraph, and your task is different. Your task is to find out my mistakes. Because yesterday I told you that listening should accompany with finding mistakes of the speaker. And you have to just count the mistakes. You don't have to write down what was the mistake. So if you find that there was a mistake, then you may just make a mark. I think you know some statistics. In statistics, how the counting is done? By marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, slash. 1, 2, like that, then count. And let us know how many slashes or how many counts one does. Ready? Now, there are no mistakes in this. In this, there are no much mistakes. But I have to commit more mistakes while reading. Purposefully. Okay, mistakes are of 2-3 types. One is mistakes of pronunciation. Second is mistakes of grammar. So you have to listen it carefully and try to find out the mistakes of grammar. Third is wrong punctuation marks. And punctuation marks in terms of speaking, not in terms of writing. So at some point there is a comma and I am not taking a pause. This means that I have committed a mistake of punctuation. There is a full stop and I have not given a pause, but just I have continued it. This means that there is a mistake of speaking. So there is grammatical mistakes, there are pronunciation mistakes, and there are punctuation mistakes. Okay? Okay. There are still in-depth mistakes, but I am not telling you just now. Three mistakes, types of mistakes. Should I? Eyes closed. I am going to read two paragraphs that I am telling you before. Okay. The atom of only a few elements called noble gases in bracket such as helium, muon, argon and krypton, etc. are chemically unreactive and exists in the free state as single atom. Atoms of most of the elements is chemically very active and do not exist in the free state or as single atoms. Atoms usually exist in two forms, one molecules and two ions. Paragraph. When atoms from molecules or ions they become stable by acquiring the stable electron arrangements of noble gases, the molecules and ions stuck together in large number to form the various types of matter around us. Though we cannot see the individual molecules or ion with our eyes, for example, sodium ions and chloride ions, we can, however, see the various substances which is a big collection of molecules or ions. For example, sodium chloride compound or common salt as a vat form. Actually, I have committed several mistakes deliberately. So just while reading, I was thinking at the back end what mistake I can commit, and I have done it when I was online. So there were two processes going on. One was offline in the brain, and one was online when I was talking. How many mistakes? More than 20? Anybody? More than 20 mistakes. Anybody? Okay. Can you just tell what were they? You have not noted down. Okay. But do you remember them now? Not like 20 plus. This is what is the problem, that we don't remember the things, and that is why we have to note it down. Okay. 15 plus. 15 plus. 10 plus. 7. Okay. 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 I have committed definitely 20 plus mistakes. Now, from this exercise, you must have understood at least once for the first time that what mistakes can be and how to identify them simultaneously while listening. So we should not miss the words, further words should not be missed. And we must make a note. The problem in this is what? That if we give time for writing, then we automatically miss further words. And that is why I have given you every sentence repeatedly. Twice I read it. Why I did it? At least in the first time. And in the next I did it only once. Of course, to give you practice in the first paragraph and then actually have a live experience. Now you know that actual speaking will be quite fast than this. And still we have to do it, but if you acquire skill, then it is not that difficult. It's simple, really simple. Like suppose when you don't know how to drive a bicycle, then you find it difficult because you know how. मी तर जेव्हा सायकल शिकलो, तुमच्यापैकी पण बऱ्याचशे लोक जसं सायकल शिकले असतील की सुरुवातीला मला वरती बसण्यासाठी कोणाची तरी मदत लागायची. म्हणजे आधी बसायचं, मग तोपर्यंत काहीच करता यायचं नाही. आणि मग एकदा बसलं तरी सुद्धा सुरुवात करता यायची नाही, कोणीतरी ढकलायला लागायचं. मग एका मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया आला की मग चालणार, कुठे पण जाणार. आणि मग काय करायचं, तर ज्या माणसाने आपल्याला बसवलं सोडलं त्याच्या जवळच येऊन सायकल थांबवायला पाहिजे. नाहीतर परत धरणार कोण आणि परत उतरणार कोण, नाहीतर पडायचं खाली. मग सुरुवातीला हे असं सगळं होतं. मग हळूहळू ते वाढत जातं, चांगलं होत जातं स्किल. आणि मग नंतर पॅडलिंग अजिबातच करावं लागत नाही, हॉपिंग ज्याला म्हणतात ते हॉप अजिबातच करावं लागत नाही. तुम्ही एक पाय सायकलवर, पाय पॅडलवरती आणि दुसरा पायावरती चांगली सायकल असं सुद्धा करू शकता. आणि सेव्हरल स्किल्स आर देयर. The same example you keep here in mind. That just now you might be required hopping and then sitting down on the riding on the cycle. But onwards, when you will practice on this, definitely you will be quite normal. It will be for you, quite skilled you will be, and it will be very simple. But you should try to understand that the product of this is very fine. Whether it is unskilled or skilled, but the product is fine. I am giving you an exercise just now that do this for reading also. So as homework, you will read at least 2 paragraphs only once for your own exercise. Read it once and try to get the essence of it. Try to get the wisdom of it. So that will complete our reading and listening practice. Practice means demo. And then rest is depending on you, on your own practice. Can you get this? Okay. Now, the point which I was telling you just now, that listening and finding out the mistakes or noting down the important points is difficult to follow. Because listening is long and it takes write down time. So you lag behind. ते पुढे निघून जातं, काही मजकूर स्किपच होतो. तो सोडून द्यायला लागतो, पुढे सॉल्व करायला लागतं, कारण शेवटी तुम्हाला त्याच्याबरोबर मॅच व्हावं लागतं. सो फॉर दिस यू हॅव टू डू सम फास्टर वे ऑफ रायटिंग. And in writing, if you remember, while for writing I have talked about, I have developed or I have told about one more point. Do you remember that? Writing diaries was one of the points. But second point was what? If anybody remembers it, tell it. Yes. Code, or in technical words it is called as the cipher. Cipher. That is cipher. So now I give you one more homework exercise, that you try to develop your own code or cipher, and that you particularly do for long words of your text. तुमच्या पुस्तकातून long words identify them. For example, distillation. Distillation is a long word, and you have to write distillation. But what can be your own cipher for distillation that you design? It can be anything. It is your understanding and your remembering. And you do that ciphering code, write the ciphering code at the last page, collectively at some place. That in my view or in my cipher, distillation means what? Some code. If it is a graphic code, then I am giving you hint that it will be still simple. As far as possible, it should not be in words, but it should be in graphics. That is, you should make a symbol. Some symbol you make for distillation. What symbol I can make? Just now I am thinking on it. So I will draw something like this. If you can see this symbol from long distance, then you may see it. I have drawn a circle, a vertical line on it, then a slanting line, and then again a short vertical line on the other side. This is a cipher for distillation. And why particularly? Okay, I will draw it bigger one. This is that symbol. This is a cipher which I have developed just now. This is in graphics. And what is the advantage of this? That this is the diagram of a distillation. You know distillation? Distillation, diagram? That you have a beaker, and then it is heated, and then fumes come out. Then they move into the slanted pipe or tube where it is being cooled, and then it condenses, becomes liquid, and then goes into the beaker down. That is distillation. So writing this big word of distillation, this diagram is not only simple and quick to draw, but this adds to your memory. So then onwards, if you write on explanation the distillation in your exam, then this diagram is sufficient. This is wisdom. And then the rest of the data you can develop of your own if you have English knowledge. So this is intelligence of ciphering. तुम्हें माहिती का मी cipher कुठे वापरला जातो? Military is one of the applications where cipher is developed. That is, military has got to give messages. So the general, major general, gives messages to colonel, and colonel will give it to the soldiers. If they are given in simple English, then what will happen? The enemy people will take them, and then there is no code. You will have defeat. So you have to make a code for language, and that is ciphering. So this cipher should be so powerful that even the intelligent most enemy will not be able to get meaning out of it. That is the concept of ciphering. One of the applications is only that, but you might be using cell phones. तुम्ही सेल फोनवरती जो मेसेज पाठवता, काही मेसेज पाठवला सेंड. Do you think that that message goes as actual letters? Never. It is fully converted into binary language, and then that binary language is converted into electrical language, and then that goes at that place, and then it is decoded. So coding and decoding is the process, and then that is converted into message again as it was sent. So that is cipher. So I am giving you this exercise. What is it? Develop your own cipher. How many words you will cipher? Anybody can give me a figure that these many words I will cipher for myself. How many words? Suppose, for example, I want to cipher atom. Small word, atom. How I may cipher atom? So you may draw two circles, concentric circles, and draw one dot in it. That's all. That is cipher of atom. So afterwards, when you will know your cipher, you will also know that there are orbits, there are electrons in it, and there is center nucleus. So it will be an indication. It won't give you full message, but it will be an indication. Here requires intelligence, and not only intelligence, but full knowledge of that word. Full knowledge of the word is required for that. Getting it? So this was some detail on reading, listening, abbreviating, understanding, writing. 5 skills I have talked about. Actually, I wanted to continue in my planning, but I feel that now I should stop, so that whatever I have told you can do some practice on it. Because it is a matter of practice. It is not just a matter of delivering and taking. No. You should make curd out of milk, and it takes time. Curd out of milk. So you have to keep it for some time. Let the bacteria act upon each other, let them form the colonies, and then curd gets formed. So whatever I told upon these 5 skills, you try to practice them and come prepared next time, and then we will go for next at least 4 to 5 skills at a stretch. So 2 more lectures will be required like this, so I can detail upon all the 13. Getting this? No gaps? Thank you. I think your sir has gone somewhere for his work, so he will go away. So further instructions I don't have. Okay, continue till at least he comes. Yes. Some girl had given this to me, which he had written as a long sentence. You? Huh. Okay. Yeah. That exercise we will finish it. What is the outcome and so on. Okay, what was given to me, this thing which I had gone through, but I don't find that this is a sentence. This is a text without full stop. That I can explain it as. This is a text without full stop. So sentence without full stop doesn't make a sentence. Or script without full stop doesn't make a sentence, because it should be meaningful. It should be properly connected. Okay. Close the eyes. Close your eyes. I don't have to say then keep mum. It automatically happens. Okay. The purpose of writing those longer and longest sentences was to know or to develop the skill of making meanings out of the sentences. Making meanings out of the sentences. If you are writing your own sentences and long sentences, meaningful sentences, then it means that you have the sense of generating clause and generating meaningful clause or clauses. You should be able to write flow, maintain the flow of sentence, maintain the flow of meaning, and they should be, those clauses should be logically arranged. So not only thank you. Not only you should arrange the clauses meaningfully, but you should arrange them logically, and flow must be maintained. When you end up with a sentence, the reader should feel that yes, I have gathered a quite good meaning out of this sentence. The sentence was very long, but still it has delivered a complete meaning to me. That is what a reader should feel about your writing. Thank you. This is what is the outcome of long sentences. It's not just the text without full point or ending point, but it should generate flow and meaning to the sentence. If you develop this skill in writing, then automatically you will develop a skill for reading and getting the meaning. That is why, though I have given you this exercise that you write long sentences, see, I am only one here, and you are many here. So it is not possible practically to see everybody or many of you have written down and then to test it. So it is better that you show it to your parents and ask them that how I have written. How many people have written? If at all your parents don't understand English that effectively, efficiently, then you may show it to your teachers. And particularly your English teaching teachers, so that they can, or he or she can qualify. And I will give suggestion to your English teachers to have accept such sentences and qualify. And you start developing this again and again, doing this again and again, so that some practice will get added to existing state, and then you can get mastery over that. So this is the answer for that whole thing. That is writing long sentences. Getting it? Okay. Okay, apart from all this learning and academic things, let me ask you one thing. That how many of you do regular exercise? Physical exercise. Regular. Put down your hands. It's good that most of you or many of you at least have practice of doing exercises. See, always keep this in mind that intelligent brain, calm mind rests in healthy body and only in healthy body. If you want to remain intelligent to the extent as you are just now, then also you must have healthy and disease-free body. I was sitting today only in front of your vice principal, and 4 students came there. They were like this. And 4 students came there at the same time within 3-4 minutes. And they were having applications and saying that I am having trouble of this, throat infection, ear infection, I am hearing something and so on and so forth. At the age of 14, 15, 16, if you are having so many diseases, what you are going to do in your whole life? And why this is happening? This is because wrong eating habits. Do you know what is the technical word for this? Wrong eating. To this, what is the technical word? Or okay, actually I have said this, but it is called as malnutrition. Malnutrition means wrong or incorrect, unmatching. Nutrition means food intake. So this is malnutrition or ill nutrition. This is what is happening with most of you as on today. So proper eating has to be there and sufficient exercises must be there. The best exercise in my view is running slowly, not with too fast speed, not required. Not even cycling is not required, but slow running is the best exercise. You know what is the heart rate just now which you have? Heart rate? Normal heart rate is 72, adult person. But as the age grows, it comes down from almost 150. When we are infants or very small childs, the heart rate is like 150, 160. When the heart starts on the 15th day of gestation, 15th day, heart starts giving beats, and that might be 190 per second. Per minute. 190 per minute, and then slowly it reduces, and when we become adult, it comes to almost 72. Just now you might be having 80, 85. This is your normal heart rate. If you want to remain healthy, then your heart rate should become 140 per minute for at least 15 minutes. 140 beats per minute for at least 15 minutes. If you have this kind of heart rate for 15 minutes, then what is the benefit? The blood circulation is quite doubled. Because the blood circulation is doubled, oxygen supply to every organ, to every cell gets doubled. And because oxygen supply gets doubled, the iron element supplied to your cells becomes much larger, and automatically, naturally, you become healthy. So if you don't have any genetic disease, which 99.99% of the people don't have, you can remain healthy. This is possible, that is essential and beneficial. Both. Remain healthy is essential and beneficial. I have practiced many of these things which I speak on myself. And therefore I get benefit of remaining healthy for all 24 hours. No tablet life. And stamina is tremendous. For 2 hours now I am sitting here and talking, but I haven't required any water. My voice is at the same level. My enthusiasm is also at the same level. My brain is working with full efficiency as it was doing, well, 2 hours before. And I am sure that I can continue this for some 4 to 6 hours next. Why this happens? This is not at all my bigness. No. This is the bigness of healthy life. And this is the bigness of that practices. Right food, appropriate food, and exercise. That's all. So try to understand the importance of these two things. And don't have malnutrition. आता काय होतं माहिती आहे का की तुम्ही इंटेलिजंट असाल खूप, तुम्ही आता काय फाउंडेशन IITला ॲडमिशन, मग IIT BTech होणार, मग कॅम्पस इंटरव्ह्यू, मग मोठं पॅकेज, आणि पॅकेज मिळालं पण सकाळी जाताना ऑफिसमध्ये जाताना खोकला, सर्दी, फीवर, उत्साह नाही, स्टॅमिना नाही, तर ते पॅकेज तुमचं शिल्लक नाही म्हणून 2 दिवसात तुम्हाला सांगतो घरी जाऊन. Because bodily also you must be fit and fine, and then only intelligence is about. So at the foundation you should have healthy body, that is required. Okay. Yet your sir has not come. Next time when I come, I will talk on solving. And I have told solving will take at least 1.5 hours. Just one solving. Because it is so important. And there are many things which I should or I may tell. I have that with me. I can talk on 10 minutes on applying. Should I? Should I or should I not? If you are bored, then really I am not much forcing it on you. Yes.
You are supposed to explain atomic structure.
Okay. Yeah. I was supposed to explain atomic structure to you. Actually, I need not even explain. I can give you analogy. And that analogy is known to you. And then you can understand atomic structure of your own. Do you know any analogy of atomic structure? Analogy means similar example. Any analogy of atomic structure will do. You better close the eyes Better close the eyes. Better close the eyes. Better close the eyes. Till you listen this or all listen this. You better close the eyes. Better close the eyes. Thank you. What is the analogy of atomic structure? Which you already know, and from that analogy you can easily understand atomic structure. The simple analogy is planetary system. Similar things are there in atomic structure. There is a very heavy sun at the center. There is very heavy nucleus at the center of the atom. There are planets revolving around the sun in various orbits. There are electrons revolving around the nucleus in various orbits. In planetary system, it is the gravitational force which holds together through attraction, gravitational attraction. So because that attraction is there, planets don't go out and remain in the same orbit for years together. Similarly, in atoms, there is electrostatic attractive force. Here is gravitational force, there is electrostatic force. And electrostatic force means, as the name says, electro related with electric charges, and static means non-moving. So electrostatic force is a kind of force which is both attractive and repulsive. Let me remind you that you are not nobody writing. So electrostatic force is of two types. Of course, gravitational force is not of two types. It is only of one type, and that is attractive force, attraction, no repulsion. But electrostatic force is similar to magnetic force. You know the analogy because magnetic force is known to you. Magnetic force is between what force? S and N. In electrostatics, it is positive and negative. In magnetostatics, like poles repel and unlike poles attract. Similarly, in electrostatics, like poles repel and opposite poles attract. So nucleus in the atom is positively charged and electrons in the orbit are negatively charged. Therefore, there is an attractive force between nucleus and electrons. Nucleus is very heavy and electrons are very light. Just as a figure, you can keep in mind that nucleus is almost 10,000 plus times heavier than an electron. 10,000 times. So 10,000 electrons may give the mass of one nucleus. So there is attractive force. Please don't talk. There is electrostatic force between heaviest nucleus and lightest electron. 10,000 times. This is the second time, and if I see third time, then you will have to go out straight. Please take serious note of it. Okay. So there is electrostatic attraction between nucleus and the electron, and because of that attraction, electrons remain in orbit and don't go out. Like planets, in the planetary system. In the planetary systems, when planets are revolving around the sun with a great speed, there is something called as centrifugal force. Centripetal force is a force of holding, while centrifugal force is a force of throwing, attracting and throwing. And you know, you must have experienced centrifugal force when you sit in a vehicle on road and that vehicle takes a turn. When the vehicle takes a turn, suppose it takes a turn on left hand side, then you are thrown right hand side, outside. This motion or this force is because or is a centrifugal force. And centripetal force comes through the bus, the engine, the body on which you are sitting, the friction and so on. That you don't realize. But what you realize is the force which throws you out. So centrifugal force is the force which throws you out, while electrostatic force in atoms and gravitational force in planetary system holds the planets and here the electrons. But because electrons are revolving, obviously they will have centrifugal force acting upon them, which will try to throw them out of the orbit. But still, for years together, like planets, electrons also are stable and rotating. Why? Because of a very simple and effective reason is the balancing of the forces. The centripetal force is exactly equal to the centrifugal force. If centripetal force becomes more, what will happen? The earth will go towards sun, electron will go towards nucleus. If centrifugal force becomes higher or larger, then it will get thrown outside and the whole planetary system will collapse. And we also automatically will get collapsed. But because that is exactly matching, we are getting a stable state for years to go. So in atomic structure or atomic arrangement, there is nucleus at the center. It is attracting electrons revolving in the orbit by electrostatic force because they are having opposite charges. And this attraction acting as centripetal force or a holding force is getting exactly balanced by the centrifugal force which is throwing the electrons and planets outside. The basic of atomic structure. Now, like planets are arranged in some specific orbits, electrons are also arranged in specific orbits. What is the composition of nucleus? Sun has got what composition? What Sun consists of? Sun consists of only two things, 99.99%. And rest all the other elements which we know from periodic table, they are also existing there. But 99.99% of the sun atmosphere and the center, periphery, whatever, is consisting of either hydrogen or helium. It is also pronounced sometimes as helium. Some scientists or some researchers pronounce it as helium or helium, but hydrogen and helium. As an added knowledge, on Sun, hydrogen atoms are combining together to form helium, and helium is getting decomposed into hydrogen. This continuously is happening on Sun, but when helium gets converted into hydrogen, it gives rise to heat and it is thrown outside. So continuously, if you look at Sun for long many years, then its helium content must be reducing overall and hydrogen content must be increasing. Just now, Sun is young, almost about 25 years old. If you compare the whole life of Sun, it is 10 raised to some 9 years. 10 raised to 9 years, or maybe more than that. But if you compare that whole life with human life of 100 years, then in 100 years, 25 years is called as young. Similarly, Sun today, from its birth, it is called to be a young star. Okay. We are looking at atomic structure. So, like Sun has hydrogen and helium, most of it, in atom and in nucleus, there are majorly two particles. One is proton and other is neutron. Proton is positively charged particle and neutron is neutral. Electrostatically, it is neutral. Positive proton and neutral electron. Sorry, neutron. These are the two particles which are there inside. And apart from them, there are many other very small particles like pion, mesons, and various names are there, muons, many number of very small particles are there. What might be the size? You think of the planetary size and you think of the atomic size. For that, you should have idea of decimals of 10. See, 10 raised to 1 is 10. 10 raised to 0 is what? 1. Never say 0. 10 raised to 1 is 10 raised to 0 is 1. What is 10 raised to minus 3 called as? In words. 10 raised to minus 3 in words is called as, it is called as millimeter. 1000 part of a meter is millimeter. 10 raised to minus 6 micro. 10 raised to minus 9 nano. 10 raised to minus 12 pico. P-I-C-O, pico. 10 raised to minus 15 femto. F-E-N-T-O. 10 raised to minus 15. Coming back on the other side, 10 raised to 3 plus 3 kilo, no, well known, 10 raised to 3. 10 raised to 6 mega, good. 10 raised to 9, still good. G-I-G-A, giga. 10 raised to 12 tera. 10 raised to 15, okay. 10 raised to 18 atto, A-double-T-O, and so on. We are not interested in all those extreme things. Of course, even they are used in science. Till what science goes for the smallest size, it goes to 10 raised to minus 15. That much size science can think about, science can experiment on, science can conclude upon. And to what science, what size science goes on the higher side? It even goes to 10 raised to 18. And where it goes? In the globe, in the universe. In the universe it can go. I am not going to detail all that just now. I may talk on sometime on cosmos. It is also called as cosmos. Okay, but sometime I will talk on it. But just now, atomic level. Why I told you all these figures? From that you can estimate, you can at least imagine what is meant by a nucleus and what is the diameter of nucleus. What is the diameter of an atom? Approximately. Of course, hydrogen will have small diameter. And if you think of uranium, 92 as the atomic number, it will have a big size. And still more than that, 118 is the largest atomic number present today. 118, that will have still larger size. But I am talking of some average atomic size. That atomic average size is in nanometers. 10 raised to minus 9 meters. That is the range of sizes of atoms, whole atom. And where lies the nucleus? Nucleus lies in 10 raised to minus 12 of meter to minus 12 of meter. And what is meant by 10 raised to minus 12? 1 divided by 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 like 12 times. That will make 10 raised to 1 upon 10 raised to 12. So it is in picometers. Nuclear size in picometers. Now in that 1 picometer or 10 picometers, there can be many protons, many neutrons, and still more 50 number of different particles. So we cannot even imagine that small size. What we can see with our eyes, not much less than 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter we can see. 1 millimeter is what? 10 raised to just minus 3 of a meter. And I am talking of 10 raised to minus 9 or 12 meter. That is the size of the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, what is there? Protons and neutrons. How many protons and how many neutrons? And how many electrons? That is most important character of atom. That depends on the atomic number. There are various atoms, various types of atoms. Every material is different in atoms, in molecules and so on. But all the 100 atoms or elements have been arranged in what? In a periodic table. Have you seen in the periodic table? I request you to purchase a bigger size colored periodic table from market and stick it onto the wall of your house. It is so important and it is so knowledgeable and it will be so required to you throughout your 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and whatever you do next. Throughout life it is important. And therefore, as on today, purchase periodic table of a bigger size. Not too bigger size, 2 feet by 1 feet. Sufficient. 2 feet by 1 feet. That is of this size. But it should be colored. It should have maximum number of details and put it on the wall. And whenever you have any free time, just passing by, look at the periodic table, add a periodic table and go ahead. High periodic table, what are you, what things are arranged, where is what, just start looking at it and automatically you will be familiar with it, not only familiar, but it will go to your part and parcel memory. Not only permanent memory, but part and parcel memory you will go into. So periodic table. Periodic table does what? It arranges all those 180 elements in a certain scientific manner. It's not an haphazard manner at all. It is a definite, systematic, scientific. It gives rise to many meaning. And let me tell you that if you think of a chemistry book, then 70% of your chemistry book, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 years, 70% of the chemistry book depends upon the periodic table. So important it is. And therefore I am saying that stick it on the wall. You may have it, a small version of it in your notebooks, in your books, textbooks. And whenever you get free time, open it and just go through the periodic table. Just look at the arrangement. If you are conversant with it, automatically you will understand many things which are taught in the chemistry class. If you are conversant with the periodic table. just the arrangement of it. Okay, coming back to the atomic structure. Atomic number is a number of protons in the nucleus of that atom. Atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus of the atom. And it is characteristic. Once you know hydrogen or say hydrogen, anywhere you go in the cosmos, you go on the sun, you may go on any star, you may be on the earth, you may be in the water, sea, atmosphere, anywhere. Anywhere you go, and if you see the hydrogen, then hydrogen must have, and no other go, that its nucleus will have one proton and just protons will be there. If you think of a neutral atom, what is the neutral atom, that I will tell later on. But if you think of neutral atom, then number of protons must be equal to number of electrons. Number of protons and number of electrons must be equal in a neutral atom. And now you can understand what is meant by neutral. Neutral means electrostatically neutral. The number of charges, positive charges in the nucleus and number of negative charges outside must be equal. Charge balance has to be there. And that charge balance means number here, number there must be equal. Though a proton is almost 2000 times heavier than an electron, though a proton is almost 2000 times heavier than an electron, the charges on both of them are same. Charges wise, both are similar. And that is why number of protons and number of electrons are balancing or are equal, then atom is electrically neutral. Getting this? This much. On neutrons, I will talk at some other time. How many neutrons can be there in an atom? Because that can be more than number of protons or equal to the number of protons. But it cannot be less than number of protons. It can be higher or it can be equal. Somebody or that he was talking about mass number. What is meant by atomic number? Number of protons. What is mass number? Mass number means summation of number of protons and number of neutrons, whatever they are. That addition is called mass number. And in lighter atoms, lighter means small number of protons. Then you have got same number of protons and equal to number of neutrons. And therefore mass number is double to the atomic number. So carbon, atomic number 6, mass number 12. Oxygen, atomic number 8, mass number 60. But this doesn't happen onwards. If you think of chlorine, then chlorine will have atomic number 17, but mass number 35. That 0.5 is because of electrons. But 35 is because of 17 protons and 18 neutrons. That makes 35. And rest is number of electrons and mass of that both electrons. And so on. If you think of uranium, for example, uranium has got 92 protons, but mass number is 235. So what is the number of neutrons? 235 minus 92. And that makes it almost 35 plus 7 or 8, that is 43. So 143. 143 neutrons and just 92 protons. Why this happens? That is a very big and very interesting story. Because that gives this story or this concept gives rise to a fantastic phenomenon called as radioactivity. This greater number of neutrons than protons gives rise to the fantastic activity of radioactivity. You may understand it later on. This is a bit of atomic structure. 0.5%. Rest 95.5% is still there. In short, let me tell you that if you know analogies, planetary system, then you can remember many things automatically. Okay. Sir, आहेत का? सर आहेत का यांना इन्स्ट्रक्शन तुमचे काय द्यायचे?